Hello everyone, I was thinking of a YouTube video to do, another topic video. Um, yeah, so I guess I'll talk about my 10 favorite films, just show them. I mean, ones I have sealed, ones that are open, and go from 10 to 1. This subject to change like all the time. It's really kind of impossible to make a top 10 list of anything, let alone films and stuff. I mean, these are films I love, obviously, but it usually fluctuates, so this is just for now. So kind of like a physical media top 10 type thingy. Alright, so I have 2 copies of Witness for the Prosecution. I probably should have kept one sealed. I really do want to fill up. I don't know, this one might be good. I kind of want to fill up these 2 smaller ones I have first, and then start keeping everything in its packaging for what I don't have in the packaging already. Because there's just no space. There's no space. So I'll fill these up, and then those things are going to get sealed. I don't know where the hell they're going to go. They're going to have to go somewhere at some point. So number 10 is Witness for the Prosecution. This is, well, obviously it's my favorite Billy Wilder film, but it's so tough. It's so tough with Wilder to pick this or Sunset Boulevard or Double Indemnity, but I really tend to think about this film quite a bit, and it has a lot to do with the performance by Charles Lawton. I just think is one of the best performances ever. Wilfrid Robards, and I'm a big Agatha Christie fan, so I would put that at my number 10 spot. I think it's a really, really great film. If you haven't seen, it's lesser known, which obviously why it's key now. You're not going to see this one talked about as much as the big, big classics, but I think it's pretty flawless. So, and the twist ending, I mean, the first time obviously you see it, it's shocking to say the least, but it definitely doesn't date or become less effective on multiple viewings. It still works. I didn't guess it the first time. I had no fucking idea. It was too wrapped up in the film. So yeah, that's my number 10 is Witness for the Prosecution. Check it out. My number 9 is the original Thin Man film, the first film from the 6-film series. I had quite a few How many copies of this film did I have? I think I've only had 2. It's weird. I tend to buy multiple versions of my favorite films, which we're going to talk about in a second with one of them, my number 1 pick. But yeah, I had a couple of these, so like maybe 2 of these, but I gave it away. So I love this film. Obviously, if you look here, I have them all. I finally was able to complete them, and this is part of the DVD set from back in the day. I don't know if the special features, if this documentary's on any of those, I don't know. But yeah, the Thin Man is great. Now, it's a little bit lower on the list because I do think that Nick and Nora are the best part of the film. I don't think the rest of the film is bad or anything. It definitely grows on you after a while. It's the first 2 movies I think work in this series. I think everything after that is mostly just, works because of their chemistry. But the first 2 films have a good vibe. They got a good vibe going on. And I think the writing for the first film especially is astonishing. I think this kind of chemistry, this couple that's already married, is not and loves each other, is not something you see very often. They're very playful. There really isn't much of a sexist dynamic to it, which is also very weird. Like, he doesn't dominate her like a guy would with a woman at that point. It's very strange. It's very modern. It was way ahead of its time, I think. And as the series went on, they kind of, because I think this is still pre-code, but they kind of softened it or made it more traditional, and Nora's character kind of suffered for it. But Thin Man is my number 9 spot. You can't go wrong with this film. It's a murder mystery, but it really is just these 2 who give phenomenal performances. Incredible performances. I mean, they're just intoxicating. So, yeah, that's number 9. I really don't get to talk about my favorite films much. Well, obviously not on video, because I've never done a video like this. Well, I've done top 10 lists, but not in this format. They were a little different, and it was just me rambling way more than I am now. But number 8 is the Maltese Falcon. I had to do it. I couldn't. I was really debating on. There's so many noirs that are so good. Double Indemnity, Out of the Past. I mean, it's really difficult to decide which one's my all-time favorite, but no, I can't escape. What is this? It's just this thing? Yeah, this is so old now. Anyway, the Maltese Falcon, the characters, I think Bogdanovich said it, that they don't even seem like they're acting in this movie. It seems like they're just being, and you can't escape the Sidney Greenstreet as Casper Gutman, which is iconic. and Peter Lorre and Mary Astor, and of course Bogart. It's just too, it's really, I think I said infectious before, but I watched this movie, and you can't stop thinking about it. You just can't. You can't stop thinking about it once it's over. It's incredible that Green Street was, what, 60, 61 when he made this film, and he was petrified because he never made a film before, and he was like a stage actor for like 40 years prior to this, and it's his best performance. It fills the screen, literally, because they shoot him from below, so he looks massive. Anyway, yeah, the Maltese Falcon is iconic. I got to see it in the movie theater. Very dark film, which is so cool. It was very just eerie. Very eerie. I love it. I love it to death. So that would be the noir of noirs, so, for me. Anyway, this needs a Criterion release. I did get Double Indemnity. We need the Maltese. I'm trying not to curse. We need the fucking Maltese Falcon there in the Criterion if they're gonna do Double Indemnity. So yeah, this is a nice disc too. So that's my number 8 spot. So I tend to watch less and less horror films that are not from the golden age as I get older. I still like quite a bit of them from the 80s and all, you know. I mean, They Live is iconic, but the golden age stuff, I mean, obviously is my favorite time period for film, or favorite kinds of films are from this era, but I had to think, is it this one, or is it Nosferatu? And Nosferatu is not an American film, that's German. It's also silent. But no, I had to go with The Invisible Man. Of all the Universal monster films, or all the films of that time, I feel like the character of the Invisible Man is just the most fun to watch. I'm really character driven. There's obviously I have them here, all the classic ones at least. I don't know, I just feel like the tone of this one, I feel like Whale obviously was the best director from that time, and he does it again in Bride of Frankenstein, where he balances the comedy and the horror. But I don't know, Claude Rains is so fucking good, and it's just a horror film, or science fiction-y horror film that I'm always thinking about. But yeah, I mean, this, Nosferatu, White Zombie, Dracula, Mystery of the Wax Museum, Island of Lost Souls, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all those, you know, are always on my mind. Those are among my favorite films, so, yeah. But The Invisible Man is incredible, and it's funny, and it's real dark, too, and sadistic, and it's got, like, a really sadistic sense of humor, and I really like that. It doesn't feel like many other movies, even movies that are a bit more horrific, per se, from this time period, and show more, I don't know, for some reason, this one, I mean, he does kill hundreds of people in this movie, which they did a poll or something, or did a tallying up of, horror movie villain kills, and I think The Invisible Man, like, beat Jason by quite a huge amount. I mean, he knocks over that whole train, and it just happens in the movie, and you're like, oh my god, he killed, like, hundreds of people. Like, it's very messed up. It's great. It's great. So, but yeah, I mean, these all, as varying as they are and how good I think the film is, these are such iconic movies. I think they go on. Yeah, I have so many of them. This is a good one, too, Old Dark House. Yeah, so Whale's Invisible Man, that's one of my favorite films. That's number 7. Okay. It's the Ddsworths. This is 6 on my list. This is number 6. I have 2 copies. I don't know. Maybe I'll give one of these away sometime. Yeah, Ddsworth is one of those movies that, like many of these classic films, well, I gotta say really quickly that with these classic movies, I mean, this stuff, since it's held up, you know, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, most of the time, not every time, but quite often, when there's a movie that people literally have considered a great film for, like, almost 100 years, and I watch it, I'm gonna tend to like it. It's gonna happen. There's a better track record than if I watch something later. I mean, it just is. It's my taste. It's held up for a lot of people. So with Ddsworth, I heard good things about it. I watched it, and I was obsessed. I mean, this kind of obsession for a movie doesn't happen that often. I mean, I can watch a lot of movies and really, really like them or love them, but not feel as intensely as it's like a Ddsworth. I mean, I watched this movie and I was like, okay, now I can watch this again and again and again and again. So yeah, Ddsworth for a long time was my favorite film of all time. It's tough. I mean, all these movies can be shifted around. The ordering is really difficult. But Ddsworth is pretty much perfect. I'm not really sure what else they could do, you know, to make this film, or had made this film any better. I think some people complain that the Ruth Chatterton character isn't exactly developed as much as she could be. It's not her story, one, and also her being as nasty as she was the point. I mean, I know Ruth Chatterton wanted to soften her a little bit, and Wilder didn't want that, so Wilder. Anyway, yeah, Dodsworth is an interesting one too, because it's kind of a woman's film with a male lead. The women's film, which I guess was a negative thing to call them back then. I think they're like some of the best films ever made. But to have a view of a guy, male character in this light, I think there was is it There's Always Tomorrow? It was a Douglas Sirk film too, where Fred MacMurray's in that kind of softened role. It's not something that I've seen a lot of. Maybe there's a lot of it, I just haven't found it, but I feel like it's an interesting perspective to take, because many of the guy movies back then were your gangster pictures, your noir pictures, or your adventure, you know, those sort of things. So to take the drama and to have it presented like this, it's very interesting. It's just real fucking interesting. So, yeah, Dodsworth is a great film. Everyone's great in it. You get, the gypsy from freaking The Wolfman, Maria Unspinskaya, gets one scene, and she was nominated for the, Best Supporting Actress the first year that it was given. Yeah, so there's, like, incredible performances in this. David Niven shows up for a little bit. And Mary Astor, of course, is incredible. She's in the Maltese Falcon, which we talked about. Which I talked about. Yeah, Dodsworth is perfect. I don't know. Did you have to watch it? You have to watch it. Spring Byington is in this. It's just a movie that you just watch, and it's like, okay, now I get to watch this another 50 times. So, I think this is my, number 6 spot. Yeah. So, number 5 is now Voyager. Yeah, I keep shifting these around. So even Dodsworth felt weird being number 6. But okay. So Claude Rains shows up again. This is the Bette Davis film in my top 10. Obviously, yeah. Well, you could probably have seen that when I was holding it, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, Bette Davis is my favorite actress or actor, whatever, ever. Period. The only one that ever came close is Stanwyck. But she'll get her spot. Jesus Christ, I don't even know what to say. This is kind of the ultimate women's picture, melodrama. This genre of film, subgenre of film, it happened real quickly and it burned out quite fast. I think it kind of burned out with Douglas Sirk. I would say Douglas Sirk is probably the end of the women's film, and he was actually remaking stuff that was done 20 years before. So that's kind of interesting too, those John Stahl films and stuff. But now Voyager, I mean, the director Irving Rapper was never really anything special. I think this film, I would say, is partially directed by Bette Davis. I mean, she knew she could manipulate this guy. I think she should have a directing credit on it. Same thing, I feel like Lugosi should kind of have a directing credit on White Zombie, but whatever, that was never going to happen. So, she's incredible. This is one of the most complex films I think I've ever seen. The character goes through many a change, and you think it's going one way, and it doesn't go that way. I don't want to spoil anything, but she is extremely developed. The close-ups on Bette Davis' face while she's smoking in this movie, or just being, is just astonishing. Everyone's good in this. Paul Henreid, Paul Henreid was alright. I mean, he's good in this movie. But, he's good. He's fine. I like George Brent with Bette Davis. I think George Brent was a little bit better with her. Claude Rains is phenomenal. Gladys Cooper's in this. Yeah, I mean, they don't make movies like this anymore. It's impossible. They can't. They won't be able to ever again. I mean, they could try. I mean, it would be different, obviously. But they don't know how to write for women anymore. So, yeah, this is the first one I have open. So, sealed. When did this come out? I'm looking through the count. When was this criteria? This was 2020, wasn't it? It does not say... Oh, no, 2019. Okay. Yeah, I was really excited when this came out, because this came out with All About Eve, which are among her greatest films. I mean, Bette Davis is just, she's a genre in herself, so yeah, this is a good number 5 spot. It could always go to number 1 or higher. Or higher than this and number 1. I don't know. This is a great this is a great cover. It's just a perfect movie. It's just perfect. It's perfect. Alright, so that's my number 5 spot. So it's kind of appropriate that this would be my number 4 film because I just got the freaking 4K of this, like, today. I was debating for the longest time. With Hitchcock, it's tough. It's either this or Vertigo. Yeah. I mean, it flip-flops back between this and Vertigo. I really love the original, The Man Who Knew Too Much as well. But I love Notorious and Rear Window. Those would be the 5, but usually it's either this or Vertigo to take my number 1 spot. I don't think this film gets enough credit. I don't think Vertigo deserves any less praise. I don't. I think that the Hitchcock films that get the most praise are the ones that deserve it, besides Psycho. I think Psycho's overrated as hell. But, and The Birds. But The Birds, I don't know what the fuck. The Birds is interesting. This is got a real glare. This is so fucking cool that this one came to 4K, especially after that first set had pretty much the 4 iconic ones, besides, didn't have North by Northwest. But, yeah, I wanted this individually. I really hope they don't put this on 4K Steelbook. I would have gotten the Steelbook. I didn't see that. Whatever. I'm really curious to see if this documentary on the bottom here is new, because I don't, if it didn't come with the regular Blu-ray, this is such a good film. Joseph Cotton's one of the great film villains in this as well. Yeah, and this was Hitchcock's favorite film too, which is really cool. I think I like it. I think it's my favorite Hitchcock film, and it tends to take the spot from Vertigo quite a bit, is because it is a character film, and Hitchcock talked about that, how he never really got to do character movies. And I mean, those are just, you know, more so than the style over substance thing. Even though I don't know, Vertigo is subtext. It's subtext the movie. Which is why it's so brilliant. You know, it's like a facade, the film, and then you look into the deeper meaning. But yeah, I love this film. And I thought Teresa Wright was, like, the most attractive thing ever. Like, she's gorgeous woman. Alright, so that's Shadow of a Doubt. So that's my number 4 spot. It's cool that it's in 4K. I'm excited to see it again. And watch it in 4K. This is a great movie. It's really freaky. Alright, so it wouldn't be... God, the Steelbook is so dirty. I probably should have got a sealed copy of this. I really just wanted it for the special feature, and it was disappointing. There is a 2008 Cruella de Vil little special feature-y thing that's kind of brilliant. Works very effectively. I do like that she's on the cover, though I don't know why she doesn't have her gloves on. But whatever, it's better to have this film on Blu-ray. Anyway, I have to have a classic Disney animated picture on this, and I would say my favorite's 101 Dalmatians. It's usually this or Sleeping Beauty, as my 2 favorites. Not gonna shit on these movies just because this company is dog shit. Not gonna do it. I think the stuff that Walt did from Snow White up until, I would say, Jungle Book, or you could stop at 101, because I think Sword in the Stone kind of sucks, but I would say up to Jungle Book, whatever, because I don't like every single film, but you can't deny the excellence of this stuff. I mean, it's just incredible. Also, why do they do this? Isn't it supposed to be not numbers, not numerical? I don't know. The titles, they just changed it because it was 101 Dalmatians, not 101 Dalmatians. Okay. I'm just complaining about this Steelbook. I'm a little obsessed because I love Cruella. Can I open this bitch? And of course now she can't smoke, so when they do advertising for this movie and crap, she doesn't have her cigarette, and yet her hand is still in her cigarette pose. So, yeah, that's disappointing. No, I do. I love this movie. I love the animation. I love how small scale a story is. I mean, it was such a contrast from Sleeping Beauty, which was like the biggest thing they ever did. Which is kind of incredible how they took such different styles. Because, of course, this had the Xerox process, and it was so different from Sleeping Beauty. I think Cruella is incredible. That movie that came out last year was, pun very much intended, dog shit. There's just no way the Disney company could work with this character anymore. They just can't. They're just not going to. She's one of the great film villains. And incredibly animated and voiced and driven. Another pun, I guess, because of the car. Very driven. So, I love this movie. It's just great. It's great. So, this is a cute steelbook, though. I really do wish we'd get these on 4K. I don't think we're going to. I don't even know if we're going to get them physically released again. It'd be cool to see this on 4K, and also be cool to see this in the theater. I want to see all these movies in the theater. Alright, that's my number 3 spot. It doesn't justify liking a Disney movie, but I don't know. The discourse and the way the company works now is like, you gotta feel a little guilty, but I do love it, and it's in the top 10 for me. So at number 2, we have Make Way for Tomorrow. Yeah, I don't even remember what the hell the back of this... What year did this one come? This is 2015. So this is the saddest film ever made. I felt like I needed to have a Leo McCarey film on this list. I think Leo McCarey... You want to say, I guess, sentimentalist. It's maybe not the... He understood humanity in a very nuanced way. I think Make Way for Tomorrow is one of the most unique films ever made. Obviously, because they barely make films about old age. I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cared when this film came out. It was a huge bomb. Orson Welles said it was a movie that could make a stone cry. It was the saddest film ever made. It's astonishing. Oh, there is a... Okay, yeah. Yeah, I have to see the Peter Bogdanovich thing on this. I miss him so much. I have to see it because the one on YouTube, I think it's cut down. It just ends. Yeah, this is a masterpiece. I mean, you know, I think every single one of these films I could consider a masterpiece, to be honest with you. But this is such a human story, and so beautifully told. The entire era of films in the 30s, especially in the 30s, 40s, 50s, there's a magic to these classic Hollywood films that I think nowadays turns people off because everyone's super cynical, which is kind of weird to me because, like, the world is so cynical. Why wouldn't you want to go back and watch movies from a more innocent time? And these movies, yes, they're heightened. Things happen in older films that would obviously not happen in real life, though I mean, they're films. It's not real life, but whatever. I can complain about that all day. I just feel like even films with darker elements, you never felt like, even the most cynical director, like a Billy Wilder, I never felt like the guy was a prick. I never did. I never felt he was a prick when he made his movies. I never felt like that. And McCarey just gets it so well. Gets existence more profoundly than you would see in a lot of movies. But I don't want to sound too fucking pretentious. I think you should just watch the film if you haven't seen it. It's great. The performances are astonishing. The makeup is incredible, too. They look so good. I mean, Beulah Wanda is such a good actress. I would say, I don't know if it's a criticism, is that the kids are kind of a mess. I think it's just I don't think the kids are ever... Well, one of them is. She's pretty monstrous, but they do what they can in this movie. I don't like them, but I don't know if that's a criticism. I'm not... How the hell do you write that? I mean, you can't... Like, if the kids don't have the room for the parent, what are they gonna... I don't know. But, yeah, this is a masterpiece, so this is my number 2 spot. So, number 1 is... I mean... First of all, this is a sealed copy because this is the one that I have available. I have, I have an open copy of this. I probably should just grab the open one, right? Well, this was closer. I have an opened copy of this and another one that doesn't have the packaging at all, and I gave one away. So I've bought 4 copies of this movie on Criterion over the last... When did this one come out? 2020. Over the last 2 years, I've bought 4 copies of this. I also have the DVD. Well, I don't have it anymore, but I had the DVD. So I've owned 5 copies of The Lady Eve on Criterion. You know, I mean, it's hard to escape this movie. It's perfect. It was one of the first ones from the Golden Age that I watched like 5 times in a row when I first saw it. The writing is so good in this movie, and it's so good. It's like the gold standard. The performances are incredible. You know, Preston Sturges, he didn't have the best cinematography ever, I suppose, but the camera movements in this movie and where the camera's positioned It's always in the right spot. It always cuts in the right spot. You get those incredible master shots of Stanwyck, of course, and Fonda. When she's playing with his hair and stuff and talking to him. Stanwyck was never better than she was in this film. People love, which we're going to get to that in a second. People love Double Indemnity, which, why is it here? Well, it's because we're done after this, but I happened to get the 4K of that. So, she was never better than she was in this film. I think this is one of the greatest film performances ever. Especially for female film performances. This is like, because, yeah, it's easier for me to get, like, the couple of female performances that I think are the greatest of all time, except for the guys. The guys is kind of harder to do, but the female film performances are easier to rank, because I don't know. I mean, I can't even speak about this movie. Just the writing, the performances, the twists and turns of the plot, the fact that Stanwyck dominates every man in this film, the fact that she has to play so many different roles in the film, not even just, of course, being the Lady Eve and her Jean. She has to do so much. And this was 1941, so this was the year of Citizen Kane. Preston Sturges also had Sullivan's Travels, but Stanwyck also had Meet John Doe and Ball of Fire, and one other film that's not very good. But she had 3 films that year that are among her best. The studio system was lightning in a bottle. It was something that on paper probably shouldn't have worked. And it worked phenomenally, and it ended, and it can never be replicated. And we're really lucky that 81 years later to still have this film to watch. This was the most anticipated Criterion film of ever. When they put it out on Blu-ray, I freaked the hell out. It's perfect. I really do like the cover. Yeah, this is a masterpiece, and Preston Sturges is a great director, so. Oh, and Charles Coburn and Eugene Pallette is in this, William Demarest, Eric Blore, freaking Mr. Toad from The Wind in the Willows, the Disney one. Incredible. Just incredible. Anyway, I want to talk really briefly about Double Indemnity, because I did just get this today as well with Shadow of a Doubt, the 4K. My favorite part of this film is Edward G. Robinson. I think Edward G. Robinson gives possibly the greatest performance by an actor in the history of cinema that I've ever seen. Again, haven't seen everything, but Edward G. Robinson in this film is on fire. He might be my favorite actor. It's hard with that. Other than Bette Davis, everybody else they're always getting ranked all over the place with actors and actresses, but I want to just compare, because this is her iconic performance, Stanwyck. This really needs to be in 4K now. If they put this in 4K, I'm going to have 6 copies of this. But Stanwyck is really good in this film. I just think that what she had that nobody else had is in The Lady Eve. I think it's her defining role, and I think in a lot of ways that's close to Edward G. I don't know. I really do like his performance in Little Caesar as well. They both, because Little Caesar is his villain role, and this is her villain role. So you kind of, because Barton Keyes in this, Edward G. Robinson, is the guiding light, is the moral person, is the good guy, basically the detective in the noir story, because these two aren't. These are the bad people. Piece of phenomenal. And Barbara Stanwyck's very good in this film. I think her best moment is in the car when her husband, spoilers, the movie is, 78 years old? Yeah. So, when he's getting killed, and she has that face on, it's incredible. Also, I think this is the first movie to ever have the car stalling, which they used in like horror movies and stuff where you couldn't get the car to work. This might be the first movie that ever did that. But yeah, I got the 4K of this. This really needs to be on 4K. Let me just throw some stuff around, I guess, whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching. I like talking about movies. I like talking about my favorite films. I am an old Hollywood sucker, whore, whatever. This is the best shit. All the way from, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, up until the early 60s. With the man who shot Liberty Valance. That's what Bogdanovich. I'm also a Bogdanovich fucking stan or whatever. But yeah, these are great films. I think this is a solid top 10. For now, maybe I'll do this again. Oh, that would actually be kind of fun. Just eventually just to talk about my favorite films again one day and just take out the Blu-rays and just talk about movies. It's a fun way to do it. But yeah, I think these are all masterpieces. I wouldn't say any of these films I wouldn't consider like perfect movies. I don't I know people probably would say 101 Dalmatians is one of the weaker Disney films. Okay. Fine. I don't know. I mean, I don't agree, but whatever. I like Sleeping Beauty as well, and people say that one's a piece of shit. So, anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.